Qin Chen. A voice like a thunderclap exploded by my ear, and I jolted awake from my desk, covered in cold sweat. Looking at the classmates around me, familiar yet strange, and the familiar face on the podium, I was completely stunned. Isn't that my high school homeroom teacher? I've transmigrated. This is a parallel world, with a background completely different from my previous life. 300 years ago, all kinds of terrifying monsters suddenly appeared in this world, and humanity's hot weapons were almost useless against them. Under the pressure of extinction, humans finally awakened and began to sense the elemental power between heaven and earth, entering the era of martial artist cultivation. Becoming a martial artist meant status, wealth, and power, all within easy reach. Martial artists are divided into 9 levels, from 1 star to 9 star. But to become one, you first need cultivation talent, and you also have to pass through the body refining stage. And me, the original owner's talent in my memory was simply hopeless. Only 0.9 sensitivity to fire element, 0.1 short of being able to cultivate. That 0.1 alone was a death sentence. There are less than 100 days left until the college entrance exam, and in my class, no one is allowed to sleep. The homeroom teacher reprimanded me with disappointment, but I couldn't absorb any of it. Ding! Detected host presence. God-level martial artist system activating. Ding! System activation successful. System panel generated. The system is here. You're on your own now. Seeing me still lost in a daze, the homeroom teacher shook his head helplessly and turned back to continue the lesson. My desk mate, the chubby Wang Hai, asked softly, "What's wrong with you?" "Nothing." I waved it off, my attention entirely on the system panel. Name, Qin Chen. Fire sensitivity, 0.9 combat power, 5 ding. Detected that the host has not reached cultivation talent requirements. Reward, 1 newbie gift pack. Give up. Give up? I almost cursed it out loud. This system was kind of a trap. It was actually asking whether to give up. And if I accidentally said yes, wouldn't I be done for? I want to use it. I was so nervous. If this newbie gift pack can't get me to cultivation talent, then I'm truly finished. In this world, life isn't easy for ordinary people. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1 fire sensitivity enhancement pill inside the system space. A crimson pill lay there. With a thought, the pill appeared in my hand. Without hesitation, I swallowed it in 1 gulp. The pill melted on entry, warmth surging through my body as it was being transformed. I could clearly feel my sensitivity to fire element skyrocketing at an extreme speed. Ding! Your fire sensitivity has increased to 9 ding. Your fire element talent has been upgraded to SSS grade. SSS grade. I eagerly opened the panel. Name, Qin Chen. Fire element talent, SSS combat power, 5. My heart was pounding. Talent is divided into 9 levels, from the lowest F to the highest SSS. The higher the level, the faster the cultivation. In 1 move, I had gone from trash to peerless genius. I quickly circulated the element comprehension heart method, and to my delight, my comprehension speed was simply soaring. Before I could continue, the system voice rang again. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a talent skill. Devour. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1 wind sensitivity enhancement pill. There's more. A talent skill? Isn't that something only awakened after becoming a martial artist? I'd never heard of anyone awakening a talent skill before even starting body refinement. I looked at the system panel. Talent skill. Devour. The host can devour corresponding energy items and convert them into their own ability. Energy items? The first thing that came to mind was beast crystals. In this world, some demonic beasts have beast crystals inside them. Humans take them out after killing the beasts and, through special processing, turn them into weapons and equipment. But humans have a common understanding. Beast crystals must absolutely not be devoured directly, or it will have a huge impact on cultivation. But since the system prompt says they can be devoured, it should be fine. I'll know once I get a chance to try. While no one was paying attention, I also swallowed the wind sensitivity enhancement pill. That familiar feeling came again, and my sensitivity to wind element rapidly surged. Ding! Your wind sensitivity has increased. Reached 7. Ding! Your wind element aptitude has increased to S rank. S rank is pretty good too. In my memory, I hadn't heard of anyone with S rank aptitude yet. After school, I hurried out without stopping. Qin Chen, I know a hot pot place that's especially delicious. My treat. Let's have a drink, bro. Wang Hai caught up and put a hand on my shoulder. Not going. I have to go home. I shook my head. Wang Hai was one of my few friends, and we used to drink together after school. His family was rich, but his cultivation talent was poor. In his words, he wanted to enjoy life properly. As for me, In the past, I thought life was hopeless and gave up on myself. But now it was different. With the system, I had to seize the time to improve myself. Half an hour later, I pushed open the front door. My dad, Qin Chen, was curled up on the sofa watching TV, and my mom, Li Xiaofan, came out of the kitchen with a bowl of freshly brewed medicine. Xiao Chen's back. Mom looked a little surprised. Hungry? I'll make you something to eat. Don't bother. I looked at Dad. How's it going? Dad had been injured a year ago and had to take medicine every 3 days to maintain himself, but his body was still deteriorating. Same as ever. If you ask me, just stop treating it. It's useless. Dad shook his head. Because of his illness, life at home had been very hard. He had always wanted to give up treatment, but Mom absolutely refused. What nonsense are you talking? Just give up treatment and watch you die? Mom said irritably. Die if you die, better die early and be done with it. Then before you die, go find the Zhao family and make them pay. Watching them argue, I helplessly walked back to my room. But as soon as I looked up at the calendar, I froze. March 18th. I suddenly remembered that in my previous life, the day I died was March 25th. And in this world, although the background was different, the people and the direction of events hadn't changed much. In other words, when it got to March 25th, would I still die? My death in my previous life wasn't an accident. I was killed by someone. Likewise, my dad in my previous life was also killed. The murderer was Zhao Kuan, the young master of the Zhao family in Rongqing. In this life, Dad had once been a frontline soldier. During a battle with a beast, the squad leader unfortunately died. That squad leader had no relatives at all, and he and Dad had the best relationship in ordinary times. Before dying, he gave Dad the most valuable one, a top-grade ferocious beast core. In this world, exotic beasts are divided into ferocious beasts and demonic beasts. Ferocious beasts are equivalent to human martial artists in the body-tempering realm, divided into 4 stages: early, middle, late, and peak. Demonic beasts, like martial artists, are divided into rank 1 through 9. This top-grade ferocious beast core came from a peak ferocious beast and was a rare treasure. It was this thing that caught Zhao Kuan's attention. Zhao Kuan sent people to buy it, offering only 1/10 of the market price, an outright attempt to get something for nothing. He often did this kind of thing. Of course, Dad wouldn't sell it. This beast core meant a great deal to him, let alone a low price. He wouldn't sell it even for above market value. Just like that, he offended Zhao Kuan. Later, Dad was run over by a car and ended up like this. Although there was no evidence proving Zhao Kuan did it, I knew it all too well. It was him. In my previous life, Zhao Kuan personally drove the car into Dad. In this life, he had someone else do it. The situation was different, but the culprit was still Zhao Kuan. Then in my previous life, I was killed by Zhao Kuan. And in this life, the ending was probably the same. The reason didn't matter at all. 7 days left. I looked at the calendar. To take revenge, first I had to survive past the 25th. I needed the ability to protect myself. And I also had to make sure my family was in a safe environment. If I wanted Zhao Kuan not to dare make a move, the only way was to become a true martial artist. In this world, even a 1-star martial artist had an incomparably noble status. Every martial artist held great significance for human safety. As long as one became a martial artist, even a powerful family like the Zhao family wouldn't dare act rashly. Moreover, the relatives of martial artists would receive tremendous protection. After all, martial artists fight for humanity on the front lines. If their loved ones behind the lines were harmed, it would be something no martial artist could ever tolerate. Whoever dares harm a martial artist's family will be treated as an enemy by all martial artists, and even the city lord will be brought down. Unless you're strong enough to ignore all martial artists, or make it impossible to find out. I walked out of the room. Dad, where's that beast crystal of yours? I remember the beast crystal the captain gave was fire type. Right now, I need to test my innate skill and see if I can absorb that beast crystal to get stronger. Beast crystal? Dad was stunned, but didn't think much of it. He pointed to the bedroom. In the cabinet. It's not safe there. Put it in my bedroom instead. I headed straight to Dad's bedroom. You little brat. Mom scolded angrily. Since Dad was injured, the family had very little income, and with his injuries, life was especially hard. Mom often suggested selling the beast crystal, but Dad had always refused. I said I'd keep the beast crystal, so she naturally thought I was guarding against her secretly taking it to sell. I carried the wooden box back to my room and slammed the door shut. In the bedroom, I opened the box. Inside lay a red beast crystal, emitting waves of fire aura. I reached out and picked it up, and information immediately appeared before my eyes. Fierce beast crystal, fire type, top grade, can be absorbed. Seeing the words "can be absorbed," I felt relieved. I had originally wanted to take a gamble. After all, absorbing beast crystals has a huge impact on human cultivation, but even the system had prompted me, so what was there to worry about? Without hesitation, I swallowed it whole. The innate skill absorb activated on its own. The beast crystal rapidly melted inside my body, spreading throughout me. In just a few seconds, I could feel my body changing, my strength continuously increasing, and my 5 senses becoming sharper. Ding! Fire-type beast crystal absorbed successfully. Your physical fire elemental power tempering has reached 60%, mid-stage body tempering. I was overjoyed. The body tempering stage is the tempering phase before becoming a martial artist, laying the foundation for it. Whatever elemental power a martial artist specializes in must be used to temper the body during body tempering. The usual method is to slowly comprehend it through an elemental insight technique, then temper the body. But now I could temper my body just by directly absorbing it, and this was far faster than comprehension. By my estimate, even with SSS rank talent, reaching 60% body tempering progress would take at least 3 days. For me, it took less than 3 minutes. Ding! Congratulations to the host for stepping onto the path of cultivation. Task system activated. I quickly looked over. Task 1. Reach the peak of body tempering within 7 days. Reward. 1 low-grade wind-type fierce beast crystal, normal mode. Task 2. Reach the peak of body tempering within 3 days. Reward. 1 low-grade wind-type fierce beast crystal, 1 mid-grade wind-type fierce beast crystal, hard mode. Task 3. Reach the peak of body tempering within 1 day. Reward. 1 top-grade wind-type fierce beast crystal, 1 ice affinity enhancement pill, hell mode. Ding! Choose 1 task. Completing it grants the reward. Failure grants none, of course. Hell mode is the best. A top-grade wind-type beast crystal could help me temper my body with wind elements, and the ice affinity enhancement pill could also qualify me to cultivate ice elements. But 1 day was far too difficult. To reach the peak of body tempering, I would still need a high-grade fire-type fierce beast crystal, which costs around 50,000 on the market. For my family, let alone 50,000, even 5,000 would be difficult. The little money we had to go toward essential living expenses. 3 days in hard mode would be enough for me to figure something out, but I was unwilling to accept it. Only reaching the peak of body tempering in 3 days would make becoming a martial artist within 7 days even harder. Wait, something suddenly came to mind, and I smiled. Without any more hesitation, I directly chose Task 3. Ding! Task selected successfully. I'm going out for a bit. I opened the door and walked out. You child. Mom shook her head helplessly. Let him go. Dad sighed. He could never give me a good life, and he felt guilty about it. So whenever I came home late after school before, they never really restricted me. After leaving the house, I took a taxi straight to the city center. The Exotic Martial Arts Association, a place that specially certifies martial artists. As long as you've stepped over the threshold of cultivation, you can go for certification, and those under 18 who succeed get generous rewards. Half an hour later, I arrived outside the gate of the Martial Arts Association. After identity registration, I quickly entered the certification hall. There were quite a few people in the hall, but they all looked fairly old. Sir, are you here to apply for martial artist certification? A female staff member saw how young I was and quickly walked over enthusiastically. The staff here also get commission. If someone as young as me has really stepped over the cultivation threshold, then once the certification succeeds, she'll get a pretty good cut. Of course. I nodded. The staff member was overjoyed. Sir, please show me your ID. I took out my ID, and when she looked at it, I really was under 18. Sir, this way please. She directly led me to a window. He doesn't have to queue? Someone said unhappily. Keep your voice down. Another person hurriedly reminded him. Certification for those under 18 doesn't require queuing. Those are all geniuses. That person's expression changed, and he immediately shut up. Offending a genius wouldn't end well later. At the certification window, the staff member took out a device. Sir, place your hand on it, and just release the elemental power you've comprehended. I placed my palm on it, and a flame emblem immediately appeared on the device. Fire element, early stage body tempering. The staff member was overjoyed. He really passed certification. Fire element was common, but with me being so young, her commission was assured. Congratulations, sir, on successfully passing certification. You will receive a certification reward of 20,000 yuan. Sir, please give me your bank card. I'll submit it right away, and the money will arrive in a few minutes. I took out my bank card. Seeing that I really had passed certification, The people in the hall had mixed reactions: surprise, envy, and jealousy. Just as the staff member was about to leave, I stopped her. I want to be certified again. Huh. She froze. I didn't explain and directly pressed my palm onto the device again. 20,000 yuan wasn't nearly enough to buy a high-grade ferocious beast crystal. I needed more rewards. This time, I went all out. On the device, 2 flame emblems appeared. Mid-stage. The staff members' eyes instantly widened. The expressions of everyone in the hall changed completely this time, and many of them showed looks of reverence. When you're merely outstanding, others will envy and resent you. But when you're a true genius and show tremendous potential, they'll revere you, even curry favor with you. If that's the case, the reward should be more, right? I looked at the staff member with a smile. The staff member reacted abruptly. Yes, sir. There is a rule that those under 18 who certify at the body tempering mid-stage can receive a 50,000 yuan reward. 50,000, just enough. I smiled in satisfaction. Go ahead, I need money urgently. Okay. The staff member hurriedly turned around and ran off. A few minutes later, my phone received a text message. 50,000 yuan had arrived. Taking back my bank card, I turned to leave. Sir, I'll see you out. The staff member hurriedly followed. I didn't refuse. After walking out of the hall, I suddenly asked, where nearby sells beast crystals? Beast crystals? She was a little curious, but didn't dare ask more. Sir, if you want to buy beast crystals, our martial arts association has them too. Oh, I was somewhat surprised. The Martial Arts Association also sells beast crystals. I hadn't heard of that. The staff member explained, there are counterfeit beast crystals on the market, and many people use to get scammed. So later, aside from official channels, the Martial Arts Association became one of the options. Buying here isn't the cheapest, but the prices aren't inflated either, and there are never any fakes. Here, you can buy with peace of mind. I nodded. Qin Chen nodded and said, take me to have a look. The Martial Arts Association sells beast crystals in another building not far away. 10 minutes later, the two of them arrived there. Sir, the first floor is the ferocious beast crystal sales area, while the second floor and above are the sales areas for demon beast crystals. The staff member explained. Qin Chen nodded, glanced over, found the fire element crystal sales area, and walked straight over. The prices and quality of the crystals here were all clearly marked. He looked directly at that advanced beast crystal, and the price was exactly 50,000. Does sir need to buy this beast crystal? The sales clerk asked with a professional smile. Just then, a staff member behind Qin Chen stepped forward. Xiao Zhou, sir has just been certified as a martial artist and can get 20% off. The sales clerk Xiao Zhou was immediately startled. Those certified under the age of 18 can get a discount when buying beast crystals. This is a benefit for geniuses. And for certification as an early body tempering practitioner, the discount is 10%. 20% off means mid-body tempering stage. Sir, she immediately changed her tone. If you buy this beast crystal, you only need 40,000 yuan. Qin Chen was also surprised, but he was very satisfied with this price. 40,000 yuan was already below market price. Pack it up for me. Sure, Xiao Zhou replied excitedly. After taking the beast crystal, Qin Chen walked out of the building and turned to look at the staff member. Where's the restroom here? Sir, it's up ahead. The staff member pointed forward. Wait for me here for a moment. Qin Chen took the beast crystal and headed toward the restroom. He did not go inside, but found a deserted spot, took out the beast crystal, and swallowed it in one gulp. Instantly, that familiar feeling appeared again. Ding! Fire-type fierce beast crystal successfully devoured. Your physical body fire elemental power tempering has reached 100% peak body tempering. Qin Chen was delighted. He had directly skipped the later stage and reached the peak. Ding! You have completed Task 3, Hell Mode. Reward has been issued. He looked into the system space, where a wind-type fierce beast crystal and an ice element sensitivity enhancement pill had appeared. With a flip of his hand, the beast crystal appeared in his palm. Without any hesitation, he threw it into his mouth. Ding! Devour successful. Your physical body wind elemental power tempering has reached 45%, only 45%. It seems that this body tempering level is related to talent. His wind element talent is S2 levels lower than his fire element talent, which affected the body tempering progress. However, the progress had just reached the threshold of the mid-stage. Then he swallowed the ice element sensitivity enhancement pill. Ding! Your ice element sensitivity has increased to 8. Ding! Your ice element talent has been upgraded to SSD 3 attributes now. Qin Chen smiled. Although he had not yet begun cultivating ice, once he had the qualification to cultivate, It was only a matter of time. Next, he glanced at the information panel. Name: Qin Chen Fire Element Realm. Peak Body Tempering Wind Element Realm. Mid Body Tempering Progress 45%. Ice Element Realm. None Talent Skill. Devour Combat Power. 150 combat power has already surpassed the peak of single attribute body tempering. Qin Chen was both surprised and delighted. Generally, cultivators have only one attribute. Those with 2 attributes can be said to be 1 in 10,000. As for 3 attributes, there has never been any record of such a person. And the peak of single attribute body tempering is normally around 100, and mid body tempering is around 25. He has 1 peak body tempering and 1 mid body tempering. Added together, under normal circumstances, it should be 125. But now it has already surpassed that, which means dual attribute stacking is not simply 1 plus 1. Moreover, the wind attribute still has not reached the peak yet. Once it does, the combat power will be even more terrifying. What's even more frightening is that he has 3 attributes. If he cultivates ice as well, his true combat power will probably be close to a 1-star martial artist. The combat power threshold for a 1-star martial artist is 300, which is entirely possible. Thinking of this, he moved his mind, and the panel information changed into talent information. Fire Element Talent. SSS Wind Element Talent. S Ice Element Talent. SS The Ice Element Talent is even better than the Wind Element. Next, he would strive to have both realms reach the peak at the same time. Qin Chen smiled, full of confidence. As for breaking through to a 1-star martial artist, he could only take it slowly over the next 7 days. After all, to break through to a 1-star martial artist, one must condense an elemental imprint. It cannot be achieved overnight. Sir, when the staff member saw Qin Chen walking over, the exit is over here. I'll drive you back, sir. No need. What's your name? Qin Chen asked. My name is Wu Fong. Sir can call me Xiao Fong. The staff member was overjoyed and said hurriedly. Qin Chen asking her name meant that she had left some impression in the other party's mind. Qin Chen nodded. Xiao Fong, if people under 18 have been certified at the late body tempering stage, how much is the reward? And for the peak stage? Sir, the late body tempering stage is 100,000, and the peak stage is 200,000. Wu Fong said that if Sir comes for certification next time and is still not yet 18, you can get another 100,000 yuan. She could also tell that Qin Chen was not some rich young master, and he also seemed to be in urgent need of money. Although buying beast crystals puzzled her, there must be a reason for it. Rongqing City notice. Suddenly, a voice echoed over the entire city. This city's young genius, Zhao Kuan, has become a 1-star martial artist, hereby rewarded with 1,000,001 second-rank martial technique. At this moment, the people of Rongqing City couldn't help looking up, revealing envious expressions. The reward wasn't especially great, but once this kind of announcement came out, this person's reputation would be different. Being personally rewarded by the city lord was itself an honor. Zhao Kuan should be that Zhao Kuan from the Zhao family. The Zhao family really is amazing. First Zhao Liang, and now Zhao Kuan. Zhao Kuan is only about 20, right? Wu Fong couldn't help but praise after hearing the announcement. You know the Zhao family very well? Qin Chen asked. Zhao Kuan, wasn't he his enemy? I don't know the details about the Zhao family, but I do know a bit about the 2 brothers of the Zhao family. Wu Fong had worked at the Martial Artist Association for many years, and she just happened to have seen both of them come here for certification. 3 years ago, Zhao Liang came to certify as a 2-star martial artist. He was only 23 at the time. As for Zhao Kuan, at 19 he had already certified at the peak of body tempering. A 19-year-old peak body tempering practitioner was extremely rare in Rongqing City. His cultivation talent was at least A rank. After doing certification work for so many years, she was quite familiar with the genius situation in Rongqing City. Let's go to the certification hall, Qin Chen said. A 1-star martial artist at 20, peak body tempering certified at 19. Does that count as a genius? Wu Fong looked at Qin Chen's back, somewhat puzzled, but hurriedly followed after him. Take me to get certified again. This. Sir, if the certification fails, there will be a certification fee. Wu Fong reminded him. She figured it must have been the citywide announcement just now that stimulated Qin Chen. Get the instrument. Qin Chen did not explain. Helpless, Wu Fong took the instrument from the staff member inside the window. At this time, the people in the hall saw Qin Chen come for certification again and all showed surprise. He's back again. So interesting. Could he have broken through after just going out once? The speaker smiled. Even he didn't believe that. Just then, Qin Chen's palm was already pressed against the instrument. When Qin Chen's palm pressed onto the instrument, Everyone couldn't help but watch closely. On the instrument, the first flame symbol appeared instantly, followed immediately by the second. Late stage, late body tempering. When the third flame symbol appeared, someone couldn't help exclaiming. Qin Chen went out and came back, and he actually got certified as late body tempering. Could he really have broken through after just one trip out? The person who spoke before said in surprise. Nonsense, he must have been hiding his strength all along. The person beside him said. Wu Fang beside Qin Chen looked at the instrument in shock, then at Qin Chen. Sir? Not in a hurry. Qin Chen smiled, and then his fire elemental power was fully unleashed. A fourth flame symbol appeared on the instrument. At this moment, the entire hall completely erupted, and the looks everyone gave Qin Chen were filled with disbelief. A peak body tempering practitioner under 18. Who is he? Could he be the city lord's illegitimate son? All kinds of exclamations and discussions instantly kept ringing through the hall. Just then, a man in formal attire walked over this way. After arriving in front of Qin Chen, he warmly extended his hand. Hello, sir. I am the director here, Su Hua. Director Su. Qin Chen Sun Chu Shou and shook hands with him. Sir, may I have a word with you? Su Hua was very polite. Given his status, he seldom showed up, let alone being polite. But Qin Chen's appearance had made him exceptionally warm. Qin Chen nodded. Su Hua smiled. Sir, this way please. Then he looked at Wu Fang again. You should come too. Wu Fang had been assisting Qin Chen all along, and having her there wouldn't seem abrupt. Soon, the three of them arrived in an empty VIP room and sat down. Su Hua said, Wu Fang, go make a cup of tea for Mr. Qin. Wu Fang quickly went off to busy herself. Qin Chen smiled. Director Su, you don't need to call me sir. With his current identity as a student, being called sir sounded a bit awkward. Besides, he could tell that the person in front of him was already a martial artist. Su Hua smiled. Then I'll call you Brother Qin. Calling you Brother Qin, I actually don't have any other matter. It's just that you've just completed consecutive certifications. And you can receive a reward of 300,000. That's not a small sum, so I need to handle it. Of course, it only takes a few minutes. At that moment, Wu Fang brought the tea over to Qin Chen. Hearing Su Hua's words, she glanced at him in surprise. There is a process for transferring rewards to martial artists. Once it's confirmed, even if it's 300,000, the director actually doesn't need to handle it personally. Su Hua glanced at Wu Fang and gave her a look. Of course, he didn't need to ask about it personally, but Qin Chen was worth his personal attention. Such a genius, he naturally wanted to get to know him. Then I'll trouble Director Su. Qin Chen nodded. 300,000. This was beyond his expectations. This was the reward for the later stage and peak certifications combined. Su Hua smiled and quickly operated on the computer, and Qin Chen's phone soon received a notification that the money had arrived. By the way, Brother Qin, you're a senior in high school, right? Su Hua suddenly asked. Yes, Rongqing No. 1 High School. Qin Chen nodded. No. 1 High School? What a coincidence, Brother Qin. We're alumni then. I also graduated from No. 1 High School. The two exchanged a few pleasantries. Qin Chen suddenly asked, Director Su, if someone with dual attributes comes for certification, can they get extra rewards? Hearing this, Su Hua froze, while Wu Fang at the side also trembled. She looked at Qin Chen in surprise. She had become somewhat familiar with Qin Chen's style. When he asked like this, it usually meant Qin Chen himself was very likely dual attribute. Dual attribute systems do not have any extra reward specified. Actually, although dual attribute users are rare, cultivating both is far too difficult, and it requires a huge amount of time. Therefore, the authorities do not recommend dual cultivation. Su Hua shook his head. After all, dual attribute cultivation requires sensing different elements, which means it takes twice as much time, and cultivation speed will drop significantly. So when dual attribute users appear, the authorities generally recommend cultivating one attribute first, and only after reaching a bottleneck should the other one be considered. This is also why the authorities do not set a dual attribute certification reward. Brother Qin, are you dual attribute? Su Hua suddenly reacted and asked in surprise. Qin Chen simply picked up his teacup and took a sip, without answering. Since there was no reward, there was no need for him to reveal it. Keeping it hidden would also be a trump card for dealing with the Zhao family in the future. Seeing Qin Chen's reaction, Su Hua couldn't tell whether he was dual attribute or not, but he didn't dwell on it and started looking for common topics. Half an hour later, Qin Chen stood up. Director Su, about my certification today. Please don't announce it for now. Many people in the hall had seen this certification, but none of them knew him. Even if it were spread, it would only circulate within a small circle. He still didn't want everyone to know about it. No problem, but your information has already been uploaded to the computer system. The higher-ups in Rongqing will notice it sooner or later. The information of all certified individuals will ultimately be compiled together. This is effectively a person's file. That's fine. Qin Chen waved his hand, then left. Wu Fang wanted to see him off, but he declined. After Qin Chen left, Wu Fang couldn't help saying, Lord Qin is the most talented person I've ever seen. And that Zhao Kuan is nothing compared to him. Su Huan nodded. He thought so too. At under 18, a peak body tempering cultivator, there are probably not many in all of Rongqing. But he said aloud, don't say that outside. I know, Director. Wu Fang nodded. Lord Qin asked us to keep it secret, so of course I won't talk nonsense. But I think Lord Qin and that Zhao Kuan seem to have a grudge. How so? Su Hua was startled. He knew the Zhao family. Even he wouldn't dare offend them lightly. He knew almost all the powerful and influential families in Rongqing, and there was no Qin family. Plus Qin Chen's clothes. He felt that Qin Chen didn't look like a rich young master. Under these circumstances, he was a bit curious how he could have a grudge against the Zhao family. Just now, Lord Qin had originally planned to leave after buying the beast crystal, but then the city announcement suddenly sounded. As soon as Lord Qin heard that the announcement was about Zhao Kuan, he immediately changed his mind and came back to be certified. So I think Lord Qin was exposed because of Zhao Kuan. He didn't want to lose to Zhao Kuan. She could sense that Qin Chen was a very low-key person. If it hadn't been for that announcement, Qin Chen probably wouldn't have come for certification, and then everyone would have only thought he was at the mid-body tempering stage. Of course, that was just Su Hua overthinking it. Qin Chen's main purpose was still money. After hearing this, Su Hua also felt it made sense. His eyes flashed. He has a grudge against the Zhao family? If that's really the case, he felt he could take a risk. Xiao Fang, send someone to investigate what grudge Qin brother and the Zhao family actually have. The more detailed, the better. Remember, keep it subtle. Su Hua suddenly said. After Qin Chen left the Martial Dao Association, it was already getting late. He took a taxi and went home. As soon as he walked in, he saw Qin Dahai and Li Xiufan sitting on the sofa, as if waiting for him to come back. Xiao Chen, there's something I want to discuss with you. Li Xiufan spoke first. Qin Chen sat down, looked at the two of them, and waited for them to continue. Xiao Chen, where did you put that beast crystal? We decided to sell it. A top-grade fierce beast crystal should fetch about 80,000 yuan. Then we can buy you some tonics and try to get you up to the cultivation standard before the college entrance exam. They had originally planned to handle this quietly, then buy tonics and come back to give Qin Chen a surprise. But when they went to Qin Chen's room, they only found an empty box and couldn't find the beast crystal at all. Qin Chen looked at Qin Dahai. Weren't you always insisting on not selling it? Sigh. Qin Dahai sighed. I was too stubborn before and didn't consider the family situation. Back when the captain gave me the beast crystal, he told me to sell it and use the money to exchange for something else, but I just couldn't get past that mental block. Now I've finally figured it out too. Over the past year, life at home has only gotten harder, and he also knew Qin Chen's fire sensitivity had reached 0.9, with just 0.1 left. Perhaps with some special tonics, it could be made up. If it could really allow Qin Chen to gain the qualifications to cultivate, then nothing would be too much to pay. There are still 3 months until the college entrance exam, and the threshold for entering university is having cultivation qualifications. As long as sensitivity reaches 1, you can enter university. Even if it's the worst university, it's still university. After graduation, at the very least, you'll be at the early body tempering stage, and then you can still make a decent living. Not selling it. Qin Chen waved his hand. Sell what? He'd already swallowed it all. How could he sell it? He might as well sell himself. Huh. The two looked at Qin Chen in confusion. When they had argued about this before, Qin Chen, although he didn't support it, also didn't object. Why did he suddenly take this attitude? It's impossible to sell it. You don't need to worry about me either. I can already cultivate. Qin Chen no longer concealed it. Over the past year, the two of them had been constantly worried about him. It was time to put them at ease and make them happy for a moment. You can cultivate now? The two looked at Qin Chen and froze on the spot. After a moment, Li Xiufan stood up, walked over to Qin Chen, and reached out to feel his forehead. Xiao Chen, what's wrong with you today? Qin Chen knew they didn't believe him, so he pulled out a certificate. Take a look. Li Xiufan took the certificate. An early body tempering certification? Looking at the certificate, her hand couldn't help but tremble. Let me see, let me see. Qin Dai's body wasn't convenient, so he could only shout from the sofa. Li Xiufan walked over and gave it to him. Looking at the certificate, he said excitedly, it really is the early body tempering stage. His expression was extremely complicated. There are still 3 months until the college entrance exam, and you've reached the early body tempering stage. Only top students can do that. Ordinary students only truly complete body tempering after entering university. Qin Chen looked at the expressions on the two of them and just smiled. This time he had obtained 4 certificates. Fortunately, he hadn't taken out the peak body tempering one. Otherwise, he was afraid the two of them might be so excited they'd faint. He stood up and returned to his room, no longer disturbing their excitement. The next day, in class, the homeroom teacher came to the podium and looked at everyone below. Today we'll have a practical combat drill, also a test of you all over this period of time. The college entrance exam is not far off. I hope you all will show your true results. The school will, based on this drill's results, register some outstanding students, and in the following period, provide some special training. Now we're in the sprint phase for the college entrance exam, and the school has also set certain targets. So how many outstanding students a school can produce is not just a student's individual issue. It's also a school issue. All right, gather at the combat training field. This time, it's training for the whole grade. Don't embarrass me. The homeroom teacher looked over the crowd once more. The training field was less than a 20-minute walk from the teaching building. After Qin Chen arrived, he saw that over 1,000 people had already gathered here. Very quickly, everyone was divided into 10 groups according to class, and Qin Chen's class 7 was assigned to the second group. Each group had one teacher as instructor. My name is Fong Lei, and I'm your instructor. Now, who will step out first? Teacher, are we sparring against you? A student asked. Fong Lei smiled. Fight me? I'm at the peak of body tempering. It's fine if you want to fight me. After hearing that, everyone's faces changed. Peak body tempering. Even the #1 genius of #1 high school doesn't have that strength. The first one to step out is basically the arena champion. What? No one has the courage? Fong Lei swept his gaze over the crowd. Just then, one student stood up and walked to the center of the field. My name is Liao Yang. It's Liao Yang. The students around them all changed expression when they saw Liao Yang. Liao Yang, a third-year student at #1 high school, one of the top 10 geniuses, ranked 5th. Liao Yang actually got assigned to our group. How are we supposed to fight this? Someone said speechlessly. The very first one up is Liao Yang. If they go up, they'll only be there to take hits. Seeing Liao Yang come up, Fong Lei nodded in satisfaction, then looked at the others and found that no one dared to step up. So he had no choice but to start calling on people. There was no other way. This time he needed to record some outstanding students' actual combat ability, and he had to make them fight before he could make a rough judgment. You. He pointed at one student. The student's face changed, and he could only go up trembling with fear. Bang. As soon as it started, he was knocked to the ground. You. Fong Lei continued calling on people. As time passed, one after another was defeated by Liao Yang, and even the strongest lasted no more than 3 moves. You. Fong Lei continued calling on people. Class rep, go for it. Suddenly, the students of Class 7 shouted. The class monitor who had been called on shook his head with a wry smile. He knew Liao Yang. He was definitely no match. As expected, after going up, he held out for 10 moves before losing. The students of Class 7 immediately all looked dejected. This Liao Yang is way too strong. He's basically bullying people, someone said with a helpless shake of the head. Some of the girls around them were looking at Liao Yang with eyes full of excitement. He really is good. Fong Lei also looked at Liao Yang and nodded with satisfaction. Liao Yang should already have stepped into the threshold of the early body refining stage. After that, he scanned the remaining people who hadn't fought yet. You come here. He pointed at Qin Chen. Qin Chen stood up, and Wang Hai beside him tugged at him. If you go up, you'll just get knocked down. Don't let him beat you. Qin Chen nodded and walked onto the stage, then said simply, Qin Chen. He looked very calm, which made the classmates around him unable to help but be surprised. He didn't look nervous at all. There was nothing to be done. Once you're called, you have to go. Either way, you'll get beaten, so just be mentally prepared. At this moment on the field, after defeating so many people, Liao Yang was clearly starting to feel bored. He looked at Qin Chen and said carelessly, Are you ready? Ready. Qin Chen nodded. The moment Qin Chen finished speaking, Liao Yang rushed straight over. He wanted to end this boring fight quickly. At this moment, he lunged like a leopard, moving at extreme speed, and in the blink of an eye he was close to Qin Chen. Some of the girls around them could no longer hold back and started shouting, Liao Yang! Liao Yang! In an instant, the atmosphere reached a climax. Bang! A figure flew backward. Liao Yang! Liao Yang! Liao! Just as some girls were shouting excitedly, they suddenly saw clearly the figure that had been sent flying, and their voices got stuck as if they'd swallowed something disgusting. The whole venue fell silent in an instant, and everyone was looking at the scene with disbelief. Liao Yang, who had just been praised by everyone, was now lying on the ground, his face pale and his expression extremely painful. Qin Chen, meanwhile, was standing in the center of the field, still in that same spot. Everyone's minds went blank. Liao Yang, the genius ranked 5th, had actually been beaten in one move, and Qin Chen hadn't even been forced to move half a step. Qin Chen, Qin Chen. Wang Hai was the first to react and suddenly shouted, Qin Chen, Qin Chen. At this moment, the students of Class 7 all shouted out. Fang Lei was also shocked. His pupils shrank. In that split second just now, even he couldn't tell what level Qin Chen was at. Quick, 2 people, carry him to the infirmary. Seeing Liao Yang on the ground in increasing pain, Fang Lei hurriedly shouted. After Liao Yang was carried away, Qin Chen looked at Fang Lei, and Fang Lei also looked at Qin Chen. Qin Chen said a little embarrassedly, Teacher, it was my first time making a move. I didn't hold back. Fang Lei waved his hand, just about to speak. Qin Chen continued, Teacher, call the next one. This time I'll definitely stop at the right point. As soon as he said this, the students around him all changed color. Fang Lei froze, pointing out another what. Liao Yang was already knocked down with one move, and calling anyone else up would be meaningless. Qin Chen, come with me for a moment. Fang Lei then looked at the others again. You all continue, spar amongst yourselves. Wait for me to come back. After saying that, he led Qin Chen toward another part of the school, leaving a group of students looking completely bewildered. Once they reacted, they finally couldn't help but start discussing it. What level is Qin Chen exactly? He should be at the middle body refining stage. The middle body refining stage, in the whole number 1 high school. Only Wang Chong, the class monitor of that class, reached it not long ago. Damn, this Qin Chen really is a sneaky guy. He only revealed it now. In the field, Wang Hai was already surrounded by a crowd, all Class 7 students. Everyone knew he had a good relationship with Qin Chen, and each of them was curious. Actually I already knew my brother's strength. Let me tell you, he's not at the middle body refining stage, but the late stage. The little Pongzher looked smug, but inside he was also utterly baffled. Damn, that kid actually hid it from me and quietly became an expert. What? Body refining late stage. The people around him cried out when they heard Wang Hai's words. Hiss, there was a sharp intake of breath. Looking at Qin Chen's receding figure, people's eyes were full of disbelief. The school martial arts building was usually where students sparred and trained on their own, and also where students tested their combat power. Qin Chen, what realm are you in? Fang Lei looked at Qin Chen and asked seriously, his expression very solemn. Don't hide anything. This concerns the school's arrangements for you next. During the final sprint toward the college entrance exam, the school has different arrangements for different students. If you hide it at this time, the one who suffers is yourself. Body refining peak. Qin Chen nodded. He definitely would not reveal the matter of the 3 systems, but body refining peak was already dazzling enough. Sure enough, it really is body refining peak. Fang Lei was so excited he grabbed Qin Chen's arms. Do you mind testing your combat power? Teacher Fang, don't get so excited. Qin Chen said helplessly. Then let's test it. He was actually quite curious whether the combat power measured by the instrument would be the same as on the system. Wait. Suddenly, Fang Lei took out his phone, dialed a number, and called it. Not long after, a man who looked to be in his 50s walked over. Fang Lei, what are you doing? Insisting I come over quickly. The man spoke somewhat unhappily. Principal, big news. There's a student here about to test combat power, and I want you to come take a look. Fang Lei said excitedly. Just as the principal was about to flare up, what's so interesting about a student test? Suddenly, a loud boom rang out, and he immediately looked over. On that instrument, the combat power number kept jumping and finally stopped. He stared wide-eyed at that number. 150. Even Fang Lei, who already knew Qin Chen was at body refining peak, widened his eyes in disbelief. This result had already far surpassed body refining peak. Although at body refining peak, it's possible to exceed 100, since some people are naturally stronger, but reaching 150 is basically impossible. Fang Lei, which school is this student from? The principal glanced at Qin Chen, and after confirming he didn't know him, shouted at Fang Lei. As the principal, he didn't know many students at the school, but the outstanding ones he knew very well. There was simply no such person as Qin Chen. Principal, Qin Chen is from our school. He's a student of grade 3, class 7. Otherwise, why would he be testing here at our school? Fang Lei came back to his senses from the shock and said somewhat speechlessly, if he were a student from another school, why would I bring him here? Only then did the principal seriously look at Qin Chen. Since he was a student of his own school, the more he looked, the more pleasing he seemed. Classmate Qin, come. The principal pulled Qin Chen over to sit aside. Classmate Qin, are you dual system? He suddenly asked. Body refining peak, combat power 150. There are only two possibilities. One is being a super freak. The other is being dual system. Both possibilities are frighteningly low, but compared side by side, he felt that the dual system possibility was still greater. After all, Qin Chen didn't look like that kind of freakish muscular build. Qin Chen nodded and did not deny it. Dual system is rare, but not non-existent. Haha, good. The principal laughed loudly. Dual system, 150. That means Qin Chen's other system has already reached the body refining middle stage. With such cultivation speed, it's simply terrifying. However, I suggest you still focus on the body refining peak system. The college entrance exam is approaching. If you can become a one-star martial artist by the time of the exam, then you can choose any university in the Dragon Nation you want. The principal reminded him seriously. He had worked at #1 high school for so long, and Qin Chen was the first genius he had ever seen. He had to be taken seriously. At the college entrance exam, he would absolutely be a trump card. I understand. Qin Chen nodded and didn't explain anything. By the way, how do you want the school to cultivate you? The principal suddenly asked. Although the school had previously planned to focus on cultivating top students, Qin Chen's appearance had already gone beyond the issue of top students. The school's so-called geniuses had already been left 10 streets behind, and the cultivation plan for them was not suitable for Qin Chen. Actually, I don't have any special requests, Qin Chen said with a slight shake of his head. The school's cultivation plan definitely wasn't as good as his system, so there was no need for it at all. Principal, I heard the school has a special bonus? Qin Chen asked. Hearing this, the principal looked at Qin Chen. This kid was really straightforward. He nodded. Yes, there is, but the highest bonus isn't very much either. How much? 100,000. That's pretty good too. I hope I can apply for this bonus. My family situation, the principal may not know, is very poor. Qin Chen said seriously. Good kid. The principal secretly sighed. He said, I'll apply for the bonus for you and try to get it approved within 3 days. When the school applies for a bonus, there's a whole procedure, and the shortest is 3 days. Then thank you, principal. Qin Chen smiled. 100,000, plus what he had in his card, made it 420,000. This amount was more than many families could save in a lifetime. Do you have any other requests? The principal continued. The bonus should naturally go to the best student. This was what Qin Chen deserved. I hope to have more free time for studying. My cultivation method is a bit different. Qin Chen thought for a moment and said, coming to school now actually wasn't very meaningful. He wanted to make better use of his time to improve his cultivation. No problem. The principal agreed without any hesitation. Since Qin Chen had only exposed his strength now, he must have been relying on his own cultivation method before. In that case, of course the principal didn't want the school's learning arrangements to delay him. After Qin Chen left, he didn't go to the practical combat class anymore, but left the school directly. He took a taxi and came to the city center's largest energy mall. The so-called energy mall was a place that specifically sold demonic beast crystals, beast hides, corpses, and various pills. And this largest mall was also owned by the government, so he could get a discount here too. 320,000 could raise his wind element realm to the peak, and the ice element realm could also begin formal cultivation. 1 top-grade beast crystal for the wind element, bringing my tempering progress to 45%. Then to reach 100%, I'll need 2 more top-grade beast crystals. His wind element talent was only S, and the effect of high-grade beast crystals would be much weaker. So even 4 high-grade beast crystals might not be enough to raise him to the peak. But 2 top-grade beast crystals definitely would. After the discount, 2 top-grade beast crystals would cost 160,000, leaving him with 160,000, which would also buy 2 top-grade ice element beast crystals. The mall's second floor was a dedicated area for selling beast crystals, and he quickly found the wind element beast crystal counter. 120,000? Qin Chen frowned when he asked the price. Yes, sir. The beast crystals of wind element ferocious beasts are a bit more expensive than fire element ones. After all, this type of ferocious beast is relatively rare. The clerk explained. Only then did Qin Chen understand that beast crystals from different ferocious beasts had different prices. Give me 2. Qin Chen took out the certification for peak body tempering and said. The clerk took the certificate and looked at it. His expression changed. Master you. What is it? Qin Chen frowned. Nothing. I mean, Master, you can enjoy a 40% discount. A 40% discount? Qin Chen was stunned, then remembered. Back at the Martial Dao Association, when he was certified as mid-stage body tempering. He got 20% off. In that case, late-stage body tempering gets 30% off, and peak body tempering gets 40% off. Wrap them up for me. Qin Chen smiled. 40% off meant each one was only 72,000. That benefit was huge. Oh, okay. The sales clerk hurriedly wrapped them up for Qin Chen. After taking the beast crystals, Qin Chen glanced at the clerk. Keep it confidential, okay? The clerk immediately nodded repeatedly, like a chick pecking at rice. After that, Qin Chen went to the Ice Element Beast Crystal sales counter and likewise bought 2 top-grade Ice Element Beast Crystals. After calculating, he still had 32,000 left on his card. He kept 2,000 for himself, and the rest would go toward household expenses, which would be enough for the time being. In a few days, when the school bonus comes in, he would give that to the family as well. That way, the family's situation would improve a lot. After finishing everything, he finally went downstairs and walked out of the mall. Just as he got downstairs, 2 people entered through the mall entrance, a man and a woman. When the man saw Qin Chen, he was first stunned. Then he noticed what Qin Chen was holding and frowned. "Young Master Quan, what's wrong?" The glamorous woman beside him saw Zhao Kuan's expression and asked in confusion. "Saw an acquaintance." He carefully looked at the approaching Qin Chen. At that moment, he remembered. Wasn't this the person who had come looking for him some time ago? Back then, Qin Chen had even questioned him, asking whether he had ordered someone to harm Qin De, and he had admitted it without hesitation. He had looked into Qin Chen's family and knew they had little money, but when he saw what Qin Chen was holding, his expression changed. Could it be that he recorded it back then and went to my family with it? His mind began racing. Although he couldn't tell what quality beast crystals Qin Chen was holding, buying 4 at once, even if they were only the lowest grade, was impossible with Qin Chen's family circumstances. The only possibility was that Qin Chen had taken the recording to threaten his family. Although Zhao Kuan was domineering, he wasn't strong enough to ignore the rules. This person must die. He suddenly became ruthless. If Qin Chen was holding a recording, then he was a ticking time bomb. It might not bring down the Zhao family, but it would make things extremely troublesome, especially since Qin De was still a retired soldier. How could young Master Quan have a friend like this? The woman glanced at Qin Chen and said disdainfully. Qin Chen was the kind of person who looked ordinary at a glance, and there was nothing stylish about the way he was dressed. At this moment, Qin Chen naturally also saw Zhao Kuan ahead of him, but he only glanced over and ignored him. Qin Chen. But when he drew near, Zhao Kuan took the initiative to greet him. "So it really is you." He put on a pleasantly surprised look. "Brother Qin, when you came to see me last time, I just happened to be in a bad mood. Brother Qin, do you have time now? If so, whatever compensation I owe you, I'll give it all together." Qin Chen looked at him. "How are you going to compensate me?" Hearing Qin Chen's words, Zhao Kuan was secretly delighted. "Come on, let's talk in the car." Qin Chen smiled and did not refuse, following him out of the mall. "Brother Qin, I don't have money on my card, but I have a villa in the suburbs, and all the money is there. Come with me, and I'll give it to you. How about it?" Once they got in the car, Zhao Kuan said with a smile. "Is that so?" Qin Chen hesitated for a moment. Zhao Kuan grew anxious inside. "Brother Qin, don't worry. Once we get there, however much you want is negotiable." Qin Chen put on a troubled expression, and in the end gritted his teeth and nodded. "Fine, but we have to come back early." "Haha. All right, my car is fast." Zhao Kuan burst into laughter. "Get out." He then looked at the woman, his expression turning cold. The woman said somewhat unwillingly, "Young Master Quan, it's not like I don't know your villa. I want to go too. Not only do you not know about my villa, no one knows about it except me." Zhao Kuan's face turned cold. "What are you going for? We agreed before that if we split up, there'd be no pestering, so it's better for you not to know about the villa." The woman's face darkened with anger, and she was just about to speak when Qin Chen suddenly said, "It's fine, young Master Quan. Let her come." 2 grown men going alone. What would that look like? Zhao Kuan was taken aback. He had intended to refuse, but he was afraid Qin Chen would also decide not to go. Had no choice but to nod. Fine. He didn't delay any longer, stepped on the gas, and the car sped toward the suburbs. Half an hour later, the farther the car went, the more remote it became, until finally, they actually came to a barren dirt road. At a glance, there wasn't a single house in sight around them, let alone people. There wasn't even a ghost in sight. Soon after, the car slowly came to a stop. Zhao Kuan said, "The road ahead can't be driven on. We'll get out and walk." With that, he got out of the car, and the woman, finding nothing unusual, followed him down as well. Qin Chen smiled faintly. He quickly took out the 4 beast crystals, then swallowed them in one gulp, and only then unhurriedly opened the car door. Ding! Devouring successful. Your physical body's wind element tempering progress has reached 100%. Ding! Devouring successful. Your physical body's ice element tempering progress has reached 100%. Qin Chen felt that at this moment. His physical strength had reached an unprecedented level. Name: Qin Chen Fire Element Realm. Body Tempering Peak Wind Element Realm. Body Tempering Peak Ice Element Realm. Body Tempering Peak Combat Power, 500 Ding. Congratulations, host. Triple Element Cultivation complete. Physical tempering has reached the human limit. God tier mission activating. Damn. Qin Chen was shocked when he saw this combat power. The reason he dared to come here with Zhao Kuan was because he guessed that by devouring 2 top-grade ice element beast crystals, he would definitely reach the peak. After all, his ice element talent was SS rank. He also guessed that his combat power would definitely reach the 300 combat power threshold of a first-tier martial artist, and might even exceed it by quite a bit. But he never expected it to be a full 200 above the first-tier martial artist threshold. And Zhao Kuan, having just become a first-tier martial artist, his combat power definitely wasn't anything impressive. Tremble, Zhao Kuan. After getting out of the car, Qin Chen looked at Zhao Kuan ahead and smiled. Ding! God tier mission successfully activated. Mission 1. Become a first-tier martial artist within 6 months. Reward: 1 Fire Element Mark Fragment, Normal Mode. Mission 2. Become a first-tier martial artist within 3 months. Reward: 1 Fire and Wind Element Mark Fragment, Hard Mode. Mission 3. Become a first-tier martial artist within 1 month. Reward: 1 Fire, Ice, and Wind Element Mark Fragment. 1 Level 2 Martial Technique, Hell Mode. Mission 4. Become a first-tier martial artist within 3 days. Reward: 2 Random Mark Fragments, 1 Martial Arts Gift Pack, God Mode. Qin Chen directly looked at Mission 4. Since it's a God-tier mission, the only thing he cared about was God-tier. Mark Fragments, needless to say, were fragments of elemental marks. To break through to a first-tier martial artist, one must condense an elemental mark. And he had the devouring talent. As long as he devoured enough mark fragments, he could condense an elemental mark. Most importantly, that martial arts gift pack. He couldn't guess what kind of martial technique it was, but since it was a God-tier mission, it definitely wouldn't be simple. This God-tier mission is way too hard. 3 days, that's outrageously difficult. Ding! Mission acceptance time is 3 seconds. If the host does not accept it, one will be randomly accepted passively. Countdown begins. Damn! Qin Chen's expression changed, and he quickly accepted Mission 4. Brother Qin, hurry up and keep pace. We're almost there. Zhao Kuan turned around and shouted to Qin Chen. Hurry up. The woman had an impatient expression, full of disgust. If only she had come here with Zhao Kuan alone. Now Qin Chen was practically a third wheel to them. Coming. Qin Chen didn't delay any longer and quickly caught up. Not long after, a disused reservoir appeared ahead of them, surrounded by barren woods. Brother Quan, where's your villa? The woman looked around. Ahead there was a shabby little house. That should have been where the person in charge of guarding the reservoir used to live when the reservoir was still in use. As for the villa, there wasn't even a shadow of one. Zhao Kuan suddenly turned around and grabbed the woman by the neck. The villa? A reservoir this big as your grave is much better than a villa. The woman's face changed drastically. She wanted to speak, but with her throat choked, she couldn't even cry out. Zhao Kuan showed no mercy at all. With a forceful twist of his hand, there was a crack, and the woman's neck was broken. Then he flung her away. With a bang, her body was thrown into the reservoir. Qin Chen watched the whole time as he killed the woman and dumped her body, without any expression. He had agreed to let this woman come precisely for this effect. This woman had ties to Zhao Kuan. If she didn't come, the Zhao family would definitely find it easy to trace things back. But now that this woman was dead, even if he killed Zhao Kuan, it would still take the Zhao family some time to trace it back to him. And right now, what he needed most was time. At this point, Zhao Kuan looked at Qin Chen. You didn't run? He thought Qin Chen would flee after seeing him kill someone, but Qin Chen was actually just standing there with no reaction at all. Then again, he must have been scared witless. He walked up to Qin Chen. Now it's your turn. As he spoke, he threw a punch, and at the same time, his fist turned fiery red. A fire element one-star martial artist. Qin Chen stared at that fist, neither dodging nor avoiding it. The moment it reached him, he threw a punch of his own. Boom. A loud blast rang out. Zhao Kuan had just been feeling pleased with himself when he suddenly let out a scream. His body was sent flying backward and smashed to the ground with a thud. You broke through to martial artist? His face turned ashen as he stared at Qin Chen in terror. After breaking through to one-star martial artist, his combat power had reached 320. Yet he was still seriously injured by Qin Chen's single punch. Qin Chen must have broken through to martial artist for quite some time at least. Thinking of this, his face showed disbelief. Qin Chen took only a few steps to reach him, raised his palm toward the crown of his head, and said, "Die." Sensing death approaching, Zhao Kuan's expression changed drastically. "No, I'm a member of the Zhao family. You can't kill me, or the Zhao family won't let you go, and they won't let your family go either." Thud. Qin Chen's palm struck the top of his head without the slightest pause. Zhao Kuan's eyes widened, filled with terror, and his whole body went limp and collapsed. Qin Chen grabbed his body and hurled it fiercely into the reservoir. Watching the two corpses slowly sink to the bottom, he then turned and left. Not long after, he drove Zhao Kuan's car over as well and put it into the reservoir. After dealing with the scene, he turned and left. Everything was neat and decisive. When he got home, it was already dark. Qin Chen went straight back to his room, sat cross-legged on the bed, and began cultivating. First, condensed the fire element mark. Buzz. A ball of flame appeared in his palm, then began to flicker continuously. So-called condensing a mark means completely transforming elemental power into one's own imprint, and then using that imprint to control source power. A one-star martial artist condenses a single divine mark imprint. Qin Chen's fire element talent was the highest, SSS. At this moment, he could feel his affinity for fire element had reached a terrifying level. It wasn't until the morning of the next day that he opened his eyes and looked at the system. His fire element imprint had already condensed to 2%. Name: Qin Chen Fire Element Realm. Body Refining Peak. Elemental Imprint Progress 2%. Wind Element Realm. Body Refining Peak. Ice Element Realm. Body Refining Peak. Combat Power 504. At this rate, it will take 50 days to break through to 1 star. Qin Chen shook his head. He still had SSS level talent. If it were a poorer one, it would have to be counted in years. There is a place where I can speed up the condensation of imprints. But that kind of place is just too expensive. He remembered that at the Martial Dao Association, there were elemental cultivation rooms. Inside, elemental power was dense, and as long as you entered to cultivate, you could speed up the condensation process. However, getting in would cost a lot of money. I heard it costs several $100,000 for one night, and different elemental cultivation rooms have different prices, charged according to the type and concentration of the elements. Even if Qin Chen calculates it using the shortest possible time of 3 days, he would still have to spend over $1 million, and that still wouldn't guarantee he could break through in 3 days. Just then, his phone suddenly rang. "Qin Chen, come to the school for a moment." The principal's voice came from the other end of the line. Qin Chen froze. "Principal, I have the right to study freely. I know this is important. Come quickly." The principal didn't explain either, only sounding truly urgent. After hanging up, Qin Chen left and headed straight for the school. "Principal, what's so urgent?" After Qin Chen arrived at the school, he went directly to the principal's office. At this moment, not only the principal was in the office, but the school director was there too. Come. Seeing Qin Chen, the principal smiled and motioned for him to sit down. "Have you heard of the Genius Training Camp?" After Qin Chen sat down, the principal finally asked. Qin Chen nodded. In his memory, the Genius Training Camp was a special camp specifically for third-year high school students. Before every college entrance exam, it would be established, and then one of the most outstanding students would be selected from each high school in the city to participate. Based on previous year's timing, now was about the right time. This time, the one our school is selecting is you. The principal looked at Qin Chen with anticipation. Rongqing has more than 150 high schools in total. After each Genius Training Camp begins, every school goes through a comparison. In the past, people from Rongqing No. 1 High School may not have been the worst, but they had never made the top 10. With Qin Chen this year, the principal felt that making the top 10 was a sure thing, and they could even fight for the top 3, or even first place, and bring honor to Rongqing No. 1 High School. "So, are you interested?" the principal asked. The director beside him also looked at Qin Chen, his eyes complicated. In the past, students who wanted to enter this Genius Training Camp all had to go through fierce competition. But now, it was as if the principal was begging Qin Chen. The gap was simply too huge. "When does it start?" "It starts at noon." "So soon?" Qin Chen frowned. He was quite interested in the Genius Training Camp, but now he needed to consider how to break through to a one-star martial artist within 3 days. If he entered the camp, he would no longer be so free. Seeing Qin Chen hesitate, the principal grew anxious and hurriedly said, "Qin Chen, Once you enter this Genius training camp, the city will award 10,000 in Genius prize money. In addition, you'll receive guidance from instructors. Not only that, as long as you have the ability, you can also enter the Elemental Cultivation Room. Elemental Cultivation Room? The camp has an Elemental Cultivation Room? Qin Chen froze, then showed excitement. What he needed most right now wasn't the Elemental Cultivation Room. Of course, the principal said with a smile. Qin Chen was at the peak of body refinement. He knew that as soon as he mentioned the Elemental Cultivation Room, the other side would agree without hesitation. Before Qin Chen could ask, he continued, and this Elemental Cultivation Room is newly developed. Cultivating inside it is 15 times faster than outside. 15 times? Qin Chen was shocked. He remembered that the Elemental Cultivation Rooms currently manufactured by humans had a maximum cultivation speed of only 13 times, and that was in the capital, with very few of them available. 15 times. By his calculation of 2% per night, that would be 30% in one night. So, as long as he stayed in the cultivation room for 2 consecutive days, he could break through his fire element realm to a one-star martial artist. So, are you interested in joining? The principal asked again. Of course. Qin Chen nodded. With the Elemental Cultivation Room, he naturally had no reason to refuse. Huh, good. The principal laughed. Qin Chen, I'll make you another promise. As long as you can win first place in the Genius Camp this time, I'll raise your bonus to 150,000. The highest reward at number 1 high school is 100,000. But if Qin Chen could really take first place, he decided he would break this rule. Even if he couldn't, he would still pay out of his own pocket and add 50,000. Then thank you, principal. Qin Chen said with a smile. Money, of course, the more the better. I'll take all of it. The principal nodded and glanced at the time. You can set off now. Now. Qin Chen looked baffled. Yes, now. The original time to go to the training camp was today, and noon is the latest deadline. I think the people chosen by the other schools have already set off. The principal explained. Where is it? Qin Chen asked in confusion. The principal shook his head. As for the exact location, I don't know either. You'll have to find it yourselves and go there yourselves. Before dark, you must arrive at the training camp. If you're late, it will be treated as an automatic forfeit. They really know how to play. Qin Chen turned and left. Watching Qin Chen hurry off, the principal and the director both laughed. This was actually also a test, not only strength, but also brains. If in one day, you still haven't found the location of the training camp, then you're not qualified to become one of its members either. Do you think Qin Chen can take first place? The director suddenly asked. Based on previous years, Qin Chen taking first place was practically a sure thing. But in this year's group, they had learned that 2 geniuses had emerged out of nowhere, one from number 7 high school and one from number 9 high school. Those 2 are Qin Chen's biggest competitors, and apparently they've also reached the peak of body refinement. I don't know. Pressure is good. If there's no pressure, I wouldn't have recommended him to go. The principal shook his head. For Qin Chen to reach such a level without making a sound, he must have his own training method. If the Genius training camp is still like those mediocre ones from previous years, I couldn't be bothered to recommend him. By now, Qin Chen had already left the school. He didn't leave immediately, but took out his phone and opened the map. In Rongqing, there are a total of 3 places with elemental training rooms. He looked at the 3 locations on the map. One was the Martial Arts Association, one was the Municipal Sports Center, and one was Ming Mountain Training Ground. All 3 places were possible, because in previous years the Genius training camp had been set up at all 3 places, with no fixed location. The 3 places were in 3 different directions. Qin Chen frowned as he looked at the map. 3 directions, all very far apart. If he were to go one by one day simply wouldn't be enough. He zoomed in on the map, then found the addresses of every high school in the city, and suddenly smiled. The city's high schools were scattered all over the place. Some were very close to the Martial Arts Association. Some were very close to the Municipal Sports Center, but not a single school was close to Ming Mountain Training Ground. Even the nearest one would take more than 3 hours to reach Ming Mountain Training Camp, while the farthest would take nearly 6 hours. If the goal is to be as fair as possible, Ming Mountain is the best choice. There's a very high probability it's Ming Mountain Training Ground. Qin Chen directly looked at Ming Mountain Training Ground on the map. He was the farthest from there, and it would probably take 5 or 6 hours to get there. However, he didn't decide to go to Ming Mountain Training Ground right away, but instead headed toward the Martial Arts Association. The Martial Arts Association was only half an hour away from him, so going there first wouldn't waste much time. Young man, need a ride? A taxi suddenly pulled up beside Qin Chen, and the driver leaned out and asked. Qin Chen directly opened the front passenger door Martial Arts Association. Sure. The driver stepped on the accelerator and sped off. Young man, going to the Martial Arts Association for certification? So young and already going for certification, not simple at all. After getting in, the driver glanced at Qin Chen while driving and asked with a smile. Sort of. Qin Chen nodded. So you really are going for certification. Young man, do you have a girlfriend? I've got a daughter at home. The driver kept talking, while Qin Chen responded only occasionally. But very soon, Qin Chen narrowed his eyes. Driver, this isn't the way to the Martial Arts Association, is it? He looked ahead. Unknowingly, the driver had already changed direction twice, and they were getting farther and farther from the Martial Arts Association. Young man, I've been driving a taxi for 3 years. There's no mistake. This direction is toward the marshal. Bang. Without another word, Qin Chen kicked the door clean off and leapt out. The driver's expression changed, but he didn't stop. He kept driving. He glanced at the rearview mirror and saw Qin Chen standing steadily behind him, looking surprised. Kicking the door off with one foot, at least mid-stage body tempering. The geniuses in this batch are indeed better than the last one. Saying this, he took out his phone and dialed a number. Number 37 has slipped out of control. Cultivation at mid-stage body tempering. At least. After Qin Chen jumped out of the car, seeing that the taxi showed no sign of stopping, he smiled faintly. It seemed the assessment for the Genius Training Camp had already begun. He turned and headed toward the direction of Ming Mountain Training Camp. At this time, the taxi pulled over to the side of the road. The driver got out and, seeing that Qin Chen had not continued toward the Martial Dao Association but had simply left, looked puzzled. He was actually one of the instructors in the Genius Training Camp. The Genius Training Camp may be made up of geniuses selected from each school, but it's not something you can just enter casually. Only by truly finding the camp's location and arriving within the specified time can you officially become a member. And he was one of the people assigned to make things difficult for these geniuses this time. The one he was in charge of was Qin Chen. Qin Chen's number was 37, and originally this number belonged to Wang Chong from number 1 middle school. It was a rough ranking based on the usual performance of more than 150 people. Now that number 1 middle school had been replaced by Qin Chen, this number naturally became Qin Chen's. Not following the usual script? Looking at Qin Chen's retreating figure, he froze for a moment. Qin Chen being able to kick the car door off had already surprised him, but Qin Chen not going to the Martial Dao Association and instead going to the Ming Mountain Training Ground surprised him even more. By normal reasoning, if he stopped Qin Chen from going to the Martial Dao Association, Qin Chen would definitely think of a way to get there anyway. The more you stop him, the more he wants to go. That's the normal way of thinking. But Qin Chen gave up going to the Martial Dao Association without hesitation. He hadn't expected that decisiveness.